Hello, and welcome to Knowing Me, Knowing You with Paula, the YouTube channel. Here at KMKY, we often dive deep into topics that impact our everyday lives. In this short video, you will meet Amazon best-selling author Ganesh who is a software engineer, a returning guest to KMKY, and we are visiting another intriguing topic, venturing into an area that wields an undeniable influence on our daily lives. Something that transcends borders and touches us all. Good versus evil in today's world, and how free will and the relationships in our lives influence the right or wrong choices we make daily. Ganesh is a seeker of answers, a purveyor of questions, and he never fails to leave us with a banquet of food for thought. Enjoy. Today is about a lot. We'll start with distinguishing between good and evil in today's world.
Today's world, that's a lot harder.
Right? Yeah. And so I'm interested to hear what you think when it comes to when we're looking at good and evil, or good versus bad, distinguishing between the two.
Right. So, traditionally good and evil have come from a sense of a religious background, right? Doesn't matter which religion, doesn't matter where someone lived, where they went to for their definition of good and evil is their religious background. So, if you look at biblically, and I'll start off from there, it was based on the character of God. That's where good flows from. And so anything contrary to his character is evil, right? Uh, it was summarized into law with the Ten Commandments, right? Four of which dealt with our relationship with God, six of them dealt with our relationship with each other, right? And so, no, that wasn't the only place. I mean, that's where it came from biblically. But if you look at the Code of Hammurabi, you would find some very similar laws. I mean, you can go to any civilization and you would find some very similar laws. Typically, you could summarize all of it into saying, essentially do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or perhaps the negative version of it, which is don't do unto others what you don't want them to do unto you.
Right. Exactly.
And it's a very good basis for law, a very good basis to define, saying there's a reason I don't want them to do something onto me. I don't want somebody to steal my stuff, right? I don't want them to lie to me, etc. It's a very good basis, really, to say this is where good and evil came from.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way, if you come specifically to where we are today, that's a lot harder question to answer, because a lot of people don't have necessarily a religious affiliation or don't go to that as their basis. So then and certainly many scientists have struggled with it. If you say everything came from an accident, it was random, it was, we as a species have come up around randomly, then it begs the question, is there really good and evil? Is that a social construct we've come up with to maintain a level of peace? And I think there's quite a few people who think there isn't any good and evil. Personally, I'd like to meet one of them and steal their wallet and see if they still feel there's no good and evil.
Right. Exactly right.
So I think when things get personal, we know good and evil really quickly, but in the abstract, sometimes it's hard to differentiate.
Yeah.
And so then what happens a lot of times to people is to say, I choose good and evil based on how I feel. If I feel something is good, it is good. If I feel something is bad, then it is bad, right? And the challenge with that is this. One is feelings go up and down. So standard of good and evil go up and down, right? And then, some people, love their neighbors. Some people eat their neighbors. And so the question is, do you have a personal preference, right? So, I think feelings are actually, to be honest with you, I think most people do choose between good and evil based on feelings. But it is also a very poor standard.
Way. right?
Right.
I think the two um, are important in our lives. I don't think we could live a life without one or the other. It
Right.
would be nice just to have good.
It would be nice just to have good. And there's some philosophies which do believe that everyone is good, right?
Yes.
Um, but I think we, in general, as a society, we start off by defining evil first, and that's where we create all these laws, right? Don't steal, right? Don't give false testimony. No adultery. Don't kill people, and so on. So when we create laws, it is usually to define evil, right?
Yeah.
And but you're absolutely right. They are, one comes with the other. And until you define evil, you can't define good. Or if you start from a biblical basis, until you define good, you cannot define evil. So
Yeah.
either way, you have two opposite things to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you think of balance and harmony, right, this is where it comes in as well, as where you have these laws, is to bring balance and harmony, because wherever there is evil or bad action, there are consequences.
Right.
And oftentimes, what we're seeing in the world today, where where there is bad that is happening in the world, or you could say evil with war or whatever else it is, there is a consequence of devastation with lives.
Right. Right.
There is, children are being affected, mothers, family members are being lost. Mothers are losing their children. There is poverty. There is homelessness, right? So there is this consequence that comes with it. So when you have these laws in place and you think of balance and harmony, right, you can understand why these laws are so important.
Right, right. And the thing with evil, and you defined it well, it virtually always results in a destruction of relationships, right?
Yes.
Now that could be due to a death, like in the case of war, right? People get killed, and hence that relationship ends. But it could also be in an interpersonal relationship where it's a breach of trust, right?
Yes.
And so that kills a relationship. So where there is evil, you'll always see some kind of ending or breach of a relationship. It is always worse off than it was before. While with good, virtually always you have the relationship getting stronger and better and more meaningful, right? And none of us is an island, right? We do crave relationships, right? Perhaps in different ways at different parts of our life, and perhaps differently with my kids than with my wife than with my friends. But we still crave relationships, right?
Yeah.
And that's the first thing which dies once you start seeing evil.